The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Morning, everyone. In today's info session, we are going to discuss the Help Me Grow Los Angeles Pathways Technical Assistance Provider Request for Qualifications. Before we begin, we would like to address a few housekeeping items. All callers will remain muted through this presentation. At the end of the session, we will have a Q&A. We ask participants that they use the question function, not the chat box. We will be using the hand raising function to ensure that we don't have any audio difficulties. However, we ask that you mute your phone or computer microphone. This webinar will be recorded and posted on our funding center where this RFP is posted. Just preliminarily, please raise your hand if you can hear me. Okay, I have 1, 2. Okay, I would say that everyone's raising their hand, so yay. However, if at any point we have technical difficulties, please click on the little question mark button just so that we know if we're having issues from our end. So welcome and hello. My name is Daisy Ortiz and I'm the Contract Compliance Officer for this project.
Hi, I'm Ann Isbell, Program Officer in our Health Systems Department.
Good morning, Christina Pena, Senior Program Officer with our Health Systems Department.
So for today's agenda, we're going to cover 5 main topics. We're going to provide a project overview of Help Me Grow in LA and specifically about this particular project. We will also discuss eligibility and desired qualifications for this particular solicitation, as well as the required documents. With that, we will discuss the selection process and review criteria. We will also discuss the timeline, and we will end with the Q&A. I just did a technological check, but just to reemphasize, if you do have any technological issues listening to us, please click on the little question mark button. So for those who are not familiar with First 5 LA, we are a public agency established in 1998 following the passage of Proposition 10 by California voters, which is a state tax on cigarettes. We are a funder, collaborator, and advocate focused on supporting children prenatal through age 5. We prioritize this age as it is a critical window of time given that 90% of a child's brain is developed by the age of 5. As part of First 5 LA's 2015 to 2020 strategic plan, First 5 LA is focused on 4 key outcome areas to maximize our impact, to strengthen families and improve outcomes for the greatest number of children, 0 to 5, in LA County, which are families, communities, early care and education, and the health-related systems outcome area, which aligns to this RFP. Now that we have completed a small overview of First 5 LA, I want to pass along this discussion to my colleague Christina, who will provide us with a background on some of our efforts in early identification and intervention.
Great, thank you, Daisy. Under the health systems outcome area, our team is focused on 2 key strategies. The first strategy, Strategy 1, is focused on improving early identification and intervention, or as we fondly refer to as EII, for young children with and at risk for developmental and behavioral delays. Our second strategy is the Trauma Resiliency Informed Systems Change Strategy, or TRISC for short, and this is focused on trauma-informed care. The Help Me Grow LA Pathways investment is directly linked to Strategy 1, our EII strategy, and this is a significant a first step and investment towards implementing Help Me Grow in LA County. In subsequent slides, I will provide greater context on the Help Me Grow framework. We strongly believe strengthening early identification and intervention to help young children reach their optimal development contributes to First 5LA's North Star that by 2028, all children will enter kindergarten ready to succeed in school and in life. We also recognize strengthening EII for young children also aligns and contributes to many other county agencies and departments' own mission and objectives, as well as the target population and service delivery priorities they hold. I will now pass it to Daisy to summarize project overview. Okay, we're going to move the whole rest of the section is on project overview. I apologize. Next, we'll move to the landscape and project overview specific section. In this section, I will provide greater context about EII in California, a brief description about First 5LA's history investing in EII, and a brief overview of the Help Me Grow model itself. Strengthening EII is critical for numerous reasons. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that young children receive developmental surveillance during every well-child visit, and that all children under the age of 3 years old should be screened with a validated screening tool, like an Ages and Stages questionnaire, at 9, 18, and between 24 and 30 months of age. In addition, the American Academy of Pediatrics also recommends that all children are screened with an autism-specific tool between 18 and 24 months. Unfortunately, California is falling short with this standard. While approximately 15% of young children experience a delay, only 3% receive early intervention by the age of 3, which is demonstrated by the visual on the far left. In an ideal world, we would see the same percentage of children experiencing a delay also accessing appropriate early intervention services and support. So, if 50% of the population show a need, we expect to work toward ensuring 15% of young children and their families are accessing services and support. According to the 2018 California Children's Report Card, only 1 in 5 young children receive timely developmental screening, and this has ranked California in 43rd in the nation for screening infants and toddlers. Furthermore, toddlers not eligible for traditional early intervention, which are children who often fall in the gray zone, can still benefit from supportive services and supports. These services or supports, which are often referred to as prevention services, can include educational resources and activities, and these are meant to foster healthy development. A national study by the UCLA Department of Pediatrics found that 1/4 of 2-year-olds that were not eligible for traditional early interventions end up not being ready for school. This data begs the question, how can we better connect young children at risk and their families to appropriate resources and supports in their communities to better support healthy development overall? And this is inclusive of children who screen with a delay or those children who are identified at risk and require prevention services. Beyond our current First 5LA 2015-2020 strategic plan that Daisy described earlier in the presentation, First 5LA has a long history supporting developmental screening and linkage to early intervention services. Please refer to Appendix B for more details on each of the investments spanning from 2015 to present day. Each investment has focused on fostered on partnerships and learning, all of which has and continues to contribute to the planning and implementation of our Help Me Grow work. Next, I'll share a little bit more about the Help Me Grow model. Help Me Grow, HMG for short, is a system, not a program, that works to promote timely access to developmental screenings and linkage to early intervention services for children at risk for and with developmental and behavioral delays. The model centers on fostering the local cross-sector collaboration and coordination among existing resources and systems. Help Me Grow is not meant to replace a system, but rather is the glue or the binding to better connect systems that help support children's healthy development as well as their families. The visual illustrates the 4 core components of the model: starting with the red component. Can we go back to the previous slide? Oh, okay. We will stick to the slide. I think the animation already moved. Oh, thank you. So starting with the central access point slide, which is now highlighted in blue, and moving clockwise, we have the centralized access point component, the community and family outreach component, the community and family engagement component, and the child health provider outreach component. Please refer to Appendix C for additional information about the Help Me Grow core components. In addition to the 4 core components, the model also relies heavily on an organizing entity that acts as the backbone agency, who also supports implementation and provides administrative and fiscal management for long-term sustainability. The Los Angeles County Department of Public Health serves as the organizing entity for Help Me Grow LA, and since July 2018, the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health and First Five have been working closely to implement Help Me Grow in LA County. The color coding that you see on the slide now illustrates how we're sharing this work. The Department of Public Health is leading with the implementation of the centralized access point and data collection analysis components, and First Five is taking the lead with our community and family engagement component and the child health provider outreach component for the model. Now I'll pass it to Anne, who will provide background and overview about the Help Me Grow Pathways project.
Thank you, Christina. One of the major recommendations from the 2017 planning report was to adopt an incremental approach to Help Me Grow LA, to test and refine strategies before scaling countywide. This will allow us to ready the landscape for the implementation of Help Me Grow LA, and it was this recommendation that is the origin for Help Me Grow LA Pathways. It was through data analysis, system exploration, engagement with key stakeholders over the past 2 years that we decided to focus on strengthening referral pathways. Please refer to Appendix B for additional context about recommendations for Help Me Grow LA. In the local LA County context, we know early identification and intervention, or EII, is not one system, but involves multiple systems and sectors. For instance, the key sectors listed on the slide all play a role in providing screenings, assessment, care coordination, and intervention services. We know these key sectors often operate in silos, and for many families, it's difficult to seek and navigate services. As a result, far too many children are not accessing intervention services early enough. This visual illustrates a non-exhaustive list of today's current landscape in which the referral pathways are not linked or well coordinated. Help Me Grow LA Pathways aims to move from this status quo to a new paradigm where the referral pathways in a community are more coordinated, integrated, and multi-directional. The Help Me Grow LA Pathways investment aims to bring diverse partners together via community collaboratives to strengthen and expand referral pathways through technology, infrastructure, and practice change. Each community is charged with identifying, selecting, and testing strategies. Examples of approaches that First Five LA could support include establishing a multi-agency referral form or developing an electronic referral system. Examples of unsupported approaches include funding direct services and strategies that impact only a sole agency's operation. Note this table is a non-exhaustive list. See the RFQ for more details. When fully implemented, Help Me Grow LA Pathways will overlap with LA County's 7 regional center catchment areas to ensure countywide reach. The intent is that Help Me Grow LA Pathways, through the testing of innovative approaches, will lead to improved communication and tracking, reduction in wait times, decrease in the age at which children are referred to services and begin services, increase in successful referrals on first attempts, and increase in parent-caregiver satisfaction with the referral process and linkage to services. By achieving this, we are contributing to our North Star that by 2028, all children in LA County will enter kindergarten ready to succeed in school and life. Looking at the circle image on the left, each of the Help Me Grow LA Pathways community collaboratives will have one unifying agency that will subcontract with multiple collaborative agencies. The number of collaborative agencies should be representative of the diverse sectors that work across the EI continuum on the right. and comprehensive in terms of having the experience, background, and decision-making power to make changes in the referral pathways in the community. Looking at the image on the right, unifying agency and collaborative agencies are part of the EI continuum of services and should be positioned with the relationships, skills, and capacities needed to test and refine strategies to more efficiently connect young children to screening, care coordination, prevention support, and early intervention services. In addition, the unifying and collaborative agencies will confer with supporting partners. These supporting partners are not subcontractors in the Help Me Grow LA Pathways project and are not expected to test strategies. They are tasked with providing feedback to inform planning, implementation, and sustainability of strategies. This project is comprised of 3 phases. In phase 1, the convening of unifying and collaborative agencies and supporting partners will result in identified project needs and the selection, development, and prioritization of innovative approaches that address each community's project needs. This work will be inclusive of partnership building to establish a deeper analysis of referral pathways, including barriers to timely and effective linkage to services, and consensus building regarding approaches to address identified barriers to referrals that will benefit the collaborative. This stage also includes a data collection plan aligned to identified approaches. In phase 2, the approaches that each community identifies and selects in phase 1 will enter the implementation stage within the Help Me Grow Pathways communities. This work includes cross-sector planning, adoption of approaches, and coaching to ensure successful implementation. In phase 3, unifying and collaborative agencies will refine approaches based on data collected and evaluation to ensure improved coordination and functioning and increased timely access from developmental and behavioral screenings to assessment to early intervention supports for children and families. This phase will include increased sustainability planning, such as, if appropriate, scale and spread of successful approaches. While the focus and time frame for each phase of this 3-year project will differ for each community, to ensure progress along the phases, there should be an emphasis on the following throughout the course of the project: ongoing data collection and documentation of activities and lessons learned, cross-community learning, and best practice exchange between Help Me Grow LA Pathways communities, and sustainability planning from the start to identify how to sustain the approaches once First by LA funding has ended. Given that this is a large endeavor that community collaboratives are undertaking, technical assistance, or TA, is needed to support unifying agencies in meeting the project goals. The TA provider will primarily be responsible for providing technical assistance, specifically EII content expertise and capacity building, to each of the unifying agencies to support them in the Help Me Grow LA Pathways investment. The TA provider will support each community collaborative's planning, implementation, and refinement of selective approaches to strengthen and expand referral pathways within the Help Me Grow LA Pathways community. The TA provider will also be responsible for supporting the unifying agencies in their data collection and oversee the process evaluation component for the project to capture learning and improve project implementation. Furthermore, the TA provider will play a significant role in supporting the unifying agencies as they collaboratively align selected approaches to relevant local, state, and federal policies and regulations. In addition, the TA provider will synthesize promising practices and findings from the Help Me Grow LA Pathways communities as it relates to technology, infrastructure, and practice change to inform statewide and local policy and systems change. It is expected that the TA provider will support the 7 unifying agencies by strengthening their competency to successfully execute the following roles: multi-level community coordination, communication and outreach, regional learning, resource mobilization, and piloting collaborative identified strategies. I will now turn it over to Christina to discuss the scope of work for the TA provider component of this investment.
Thank you. Please refer to pages 15 through 19 of the RFQ for a detailed description of the key tasks assigned to the TA provider. In order to successfully design and provide TA support for the unifying agencies representing the 7 Help Me Grow LA Pathways communities, First 5 LA has outlined 10 distinct tasks over the duration of the entire project. First 5 LA expects that the TA provider oversee all 10 tasks outlined. The TA provider cannot subcontract out tasks 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The TA provider may subcontract if they lack expertise in a certain area, for example, technology platforms or database design, or consultation purposes. Now, turning to a brief description of the key tasks, starting with task 1, orientation and planning meetings. The TA provider will participate in in-person meetings with First 5 LA staff and the unifying agencies once they are selected. And if relevant, the collaborative agencies that make up a Help Me Grow demonstration community or Pathways community. Next, task 2, review data on the availability of EII services. The TA provider is expected to collaborate with each of the unifying agencies to review and analyze existing data to inform phase 1 planning. In addition to supporting unifying agencies in interpreting and utilizing data, the TA provider will support First 5 LA with drafting and refining materials. For example, the Help Me Grow LA Risk Indicator Heat Map. Next, task 3, develop technical assistance plan and curriculum. The TA is expected to draft a technical assistance engagement plan with some individualization for each Help Me Grow Pathways community to support each collaborative in reaching the Help Me Grow LA Pathways intended outcomes. Task 4, execute technical assistance plan. The TA provider will be expected to execute the technical assistance plan with each community. Task 5, draft evaluation plan. The TA provider is also responsible for evaluation and data collection for the Help Me Grow Pathways investment to help capture learnings as the project is implemented and identify any improvements in real time. As such, the TA provider is expected to also draft an evaluation plan that will be amended on an annual basis or as needed based on progress. Task 6, execute the evaluation plan. Once approved by First 5 LA, the TA provider will execute the evaluation plan in partnership with the unifying agencies. The TA provider is responsible for managing data collection for the evaluation plan. Task 7, provide quarterly implementation summary. The TA provider will be responsible for providing quarterly implementation summaries to First 5 LA that reflects TA progress and process evaluation findings. Task 8, submit annual Help Me Grow Pathways reports. The TA provider is also expected to submit an annual report on the overall progress on the TA and evaluation plans regarding the implementation of Help Me Grow LA Pathways projects. Task 9, submit final report and share findings. To elevate lessons learned to a larger audience, the TA provider will draft a final report on the Help Me Grow LA Pathways implementation and evaluation findings at the conclusion of the project. In addition, separate summaries should be provided aimed at the following audiences: early identification intervention providers and the general public. Finally, task 10, project management. The TA provider will maintain quality control and timeliness throughout the life of the project, which includes regular check-ins with First 5 staff. As a reminder, can we go back, please? Sorry. As a reminder, the TA cannot subcontract out tasks 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Next, I will turn it to Daisy, who will discuss terms of the project.
So on page 20, we do highlight specifically the terms of the project. I'm going to summarize them here, but initially we are looking at a 15-month agreement. Our anticipated start date will be April 1st, 2020. The project term is up to a 3.5-year project lifespan. This project will have a cost reimbursement agreement, and the estimated total project budget is $400,000. Next up is eligibility requirements and desired qualifications. These are on page 19, but the proposers must meet the following minimum requirements. For location, proposers shall have and maintain a permanent physical location within a 70-mile radius of First 5 LA's office for the duration of the project. And proposer cannot be a First 5 LA Help Me Grow Pathways Unifying Agency, collaborative agency, or subcontractor, or a supporting partner. So by applying to this particular solicitation, proposer is acknowledging that it is precluding itself from applying to the Help Me Grow LA Pathways request for proposal, so the RFP. Please note that these requirements will be reviewed during level 1 review, and proposers that do not meet these requirements will not advance to the next level of review. For desired qualifications, Christina.
So the desired qualifications for the TA provider have been organized into 3 categories: early identification and intervention, capacity building, and evaluation. Please refer to pages 19 to 20 of the RFP for greater details. Under the early identification and intervention category, we are seeking proposers with knowledge of the early identification and intervention topic for young children with developmental and behavioral delays specific to LA County, knowledge of best practices in the development and implementation of effective referral pathways, including the use of technology, infrastructure, and practice change, and third, demonstration of cultural competency in the development and implementation of referral pathways. Within the second bucket, the capacity building category, we are seeking proposers with experience providing capacity building and technical assistance to county agencies, programs, and/or community-based organizations. We are also interested in experience collaborating with LA County systems, which can include regional centers, health, mental health, child welfare, early childhood education programs, and schools, experience developing meeting agendas, training content, and facilitation, experience in convening stakeholders to develop a common learning agenda, and an ability to manage and negotiate complex relationships to advance project goals. And last, under the evaluation category, we are seeking proposers with experience interpreting qualitative and quantitative data, experience implementing basic evaluation approaches and methods, including selecting key outcomes, collecting and analyzing data, and interpreting evaluation information, and experience with designing and implementing a process evaluation, for example, implementation process that will help to facilitate ongoing quality improvement and regional learning. I will now pass it to Daisy to discuss required documents and the selection process.
So the required documents are identified from pages 25 to 29 on the RFP. These are the main required documents. We are seeking online application, narratives, resume, scope of work, budget narrative, the litigation and contract compliance form, financial statements, and if applicable, business licenses. Applicants must submit all required documents through our online application process, which we will give you an overview shortly. We have also included Appendix E, which is an application checklist to ensure that you have provided a complete application. Omissions of any document form may constitute an incomplete proposal and may be grounds for disqualification. So for the online application, we have included the link in our funding center site, but in order to respond to this RFQ, proposers must complete the online application form and submit all required documents specified using the online application systems. Proposers must set up an online account in order to access the application form, and the instructions on setting up the account and access the online application are found on our funding site. We are also requesting resumes. Please include all resumes, full resumes of proposed key personnel. For the narrative, we are asking that you address the following 2 items. The technical assistance approach, propose an approach to provide technical assistance across the total project period, include strategies, methodology, and general approach to monitor progress, identify issues, and foster collaboration. Please also discuss approach to continuous quality improvement and learning. For organizational experience, please describe your or your team's responsiveness to all of the desired qualifications that were listed in section 7 of the summary of desired qualifications. Also provide a brief list of similar types of projects that were successfully concluded. Please describe your specific role played in the project and how it led to the outcome described. Next up is the scope of work. I mostly just want to highlight that the document is Appendix H, and that's what it looks like. For the scope of work, we are asking you to describe the objectives, methods, and related key activities to carry out the major functions for the initial 15-month agreement period of the project. So this one is specific to a time frame. For the budget, I've also included the visuals of what each document looks like, but for the budget, we are requesting that you submit a detailed budget for the initial 15-month agreement period using Appendix I to include the fulfillment of, of all activities in the scope of work, and see Appendix H, which are the budget instructions for guidance. For the budget narrative, proposers must include a budget narrative based on instructions in Appendix G. The budget narrative should justify the cost of the proposal and support the proposed expenditures by supplementing the information provided in the budget and scope of work template. It is expected that proposers' budget will be clearly justified and appropriate to the work proposed. For the litigation and contracts compliance form, please read the information on the required litigation and contract compliance form, which is Appendix J, thoroughly and include a signed copy by the proposal deadline. Please note that if you check yes to any of the questions on the form, please explain the circumstances for the response and explain whether this will impact the project on this solicitation. For financial documents, please submit the following: either a financial audit for fiscal year 2017 through 2018 or calendar year 2018, or 2 years of audited financial statements with 2 years of Form 990s, no older than 2017. And again, if applicable, please submit your business license. As far as selection process and review criteria, this solicitation has 4 levels of review. The first level is the administrative review, which evaluates all proposals for completeness and minimum requirements. Basic requirements include timely receipt of proposals, submission of all required attachments, and adherence to the eligibility requirements. Proposals with omissions of any required documentations are subject to disqualification. First 5LA will also conduct a due diligence review that includes a review of the litigation and contract compliance form and a review of whether proposers that are current and former contractors, grantees, and vendors currently remain placed in a non-compliant status by First 5LA under any existing and past agreement with First 5LA. First 5LA reserves the right to request additional information if needed, to validate eligibility and/or minimum requirements. First 5LA will also conduct a conflict of interest review for proposers, including any subcontractor. For financial review, level 2, this will occur for any proposers that pass level 1 review. First 5 will review the following documents to ensure that ensure the financial capacity of proposers, the financial audits, or the 2 years of audited financial statements, the ones that I discussed earlier. If First 5LA identifies concerns as a result of reviewing the proposer's financial documents, the proposer may be required to submit additional information. Proposers that fail to submit the requested additional information will be reviewed based on documents provided at the time of the application. Please note that proposers will not advance to the next level of review if the financial documents submitted demonstrate significant administrative and/or financial issues that indicate an inability to effectively manage funds awarded to this RFQ. For proposers that advance to level 3, the information collected during level 2 may inform negotiations if recommended for award of the agreement. For level 3, proposers that pass level 2 will proceed for level 3 review. Prior to beginning their review, reviewers will be assessed for conflict of interest with the proposers, including subcontractors, and sign a conflict of interest form to certify that there are no conflicts of interest. The proposers will score the reviewers will score the proposers using the review tool listed as Appendix D, which is the proposal scoring criteria. The proposal review panel will comprise of First 5LA staff. So proposers scoring highly in level 3 will then proceed to level 4. Only key personnel who will be implementing the proposed RFQ can participate in the interview. Tentative interview dates are included in Section 1, timeline for the selected process, and are subject to change at First 5LA's sole discretion. Interviews will be held either in person or at locations in person or by phone. The interview panel will comprise of First 5LA staff, and again, they will be assessed for conflict of interest. Now, reviewers will participate in calibration sessions prior to finalizing score. Further written material may be requested prior to or after the interview, and First 5LA reserves the right to schedule additional interviews or meetings should additional questions arise. Now, the highest scoring proposer based on a combined level 3 and level 4 score will be recommended to First 5LA's Board of Commissioners for award of the contract. As discussed, this is what the level 3 proposal review sheet looks like. It has been attached as an appendix and is accessible to you. Now, in terms of application submission, applicants that fail to adhere to First 5LA's page limitations will be adjusted by the removal of pages from the application, and they will be removed before the proposal review. So they will not be made available to the reviewers. Failure to submit all required documents will constitute an incomplete proposal and may be grounds for disqualification. Please don't wait till the last minute to submit your documents through our online application system. First 5LA will not be responsible for any delays proposers may encounter with online application systems due to multiple proposers uploading documents before the closing time, and First 5LA shall not be liable for any costs incurred in connection with a proposer's preparation of a proposal in response to this RFQ. Any cover letters, resume, curricula vitae, including attached materials submitted in response to this RFQ shall become property of First 5 LA and subject to public disclosure. Please note, proposals received after the deadline will not be considered. To remind everyone, the deadline is December 2, 2019, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So remember that. Addenda, please check our funding site regularly for any updates and addenda. We use our funding site regularly, and that's the best way to share information, so please keep on the lookout. As far as timeline, we are here. As discussed, we are requesting that proposals are due December 2. The final date to submit questions and requests for additional information is November 19th. Responses will be posted November 22nd, and interviews are projected to be January 28th. The PA will be selected February 7th, and as discussed, our contract start date is anticipated to be April 1st. So in an effort to provide time for the questions and answers, please submit all of your questions. We will be here until about 10. This is not your only opportunity to submit questions. As discussed, you can always email them to me, and we will be collecting all of those questions and publishing them with the response. So we're going to put you on a momentarily hold while we gather the questions and provide answers, but please hold, we are still here. Thank you for your questions. We are receiving them. I want to clarify that we may not be able to answer all of the questions now, but we will address them in written form. So just if you don't hear a response to your question, please note we will respond to the question, just not at the present moment. The first question we're going to answer is, what is the limit to the budget for the initial 15-month period?
We leave that to the proposers to recommend in their proposal, keeping in mind the entire scope of work for the project and the 3.5-year time frame. Final budget will be discussed during contract negotiations.
And please keep sending your questions. The next question is, what is meant by matching funds on the budget summary form?
This is a standard form. Sometimes our proposers have in-kind fund that they're able to contribute to a project, and this is the place that you would enter that, such as staff time would be included there.
I think we addressed the other question, which was, please provide an example of where matching funds would come from. The next question is, just to be clear, we only need to provide budget for the first 15-month period, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Your budget form should reflect the initial 15-month period of this project.
So just wanted to, we have 6 more minutes. If you have any additional, or 5 more minutes, if you have any additional questions, please send them our way. We will stay here till 10, but any other questions that we have received, we will be following up in written form. So we're still here, but send us your questions. We would like to wrap things up. First, thank you for joining us. We're very excited that you're interested in our solicitation. Please note my email address if you have any questions after. We are accepting questions until, we are accepting questions until November 19th. We will be posting our responses on November 22nd. So if you have any additional questions, let us know. And once again, thank you for joining us and hope you have a great day. Bye.